Venturing into the complex universe of the human mind, where thoughts intertwine and emotions shape our journey, we encounter the relationship between our mind and divine communication. After all, we are fearless explorers of the mental corridors that, with every choice, every feeling, seek to understand the purpose and connection that transcends matter. In this context, a question arises. Can the delicate series of neurons and thoughts provide a spiritual and divine communication that goes beyond our everyday understanding? On this journey, we find in neuroplasticity a key element to unravel the mysteries of the mind and its influence on the spiritual journey, a fascinating phenomenon that reveals the malleability of the mind. This remarkable ability of the mind to reorganize and form new connections not only attests to the complexity of the brain, but also opens doors to understanding profound aspects of our spiritual quest. We can compare it to a map that reveals how our thoughts and experiences actively shape the pathways of our mind. Our mind adapts, shapes, and transforms itself. By understanding this dynamic, we realize that constant adaptation is not just a cerebral phenomenon, but a valuable resource in building a meaningful spiritual journey. Neuroplasticity in this context would be the promise that, regardless of the seasons of life, our minds can flourish, adapt, and, like nature reinventing itself every spring, find the light of divine understanding. As the mind molds and transforms itself, it adapts to our experiences, creating unexplored paths. This adaptation is not just a cerebral response, but a reflection of a journey revealed through daily choices. Every challenge faced and overcome is an opportunity for the mind to adapt, creating new connections that illuminate our journey. The mind, in its remarkable adaptability, emerges as a testament in constant evolution. It not only processes information but develops and adjusts over time. This constant adaptation of the mind finds deep parallels in the spiritual journey. As we face challenges and experiences, both the mind and spirituality can evolve in harmony, revealing aspects of the divine in every moment. Recognizing the mind as a divine gift invites us to explore not only our internal complexities, but also to acknowledge that every aspect of our mental journey is a meaningful narrative in our personal and collective spiritual story. From a deeper perspective, let's consider the human mind not only as a result of nature, but as a specific manifestation of divine design. Each neural network, each adaptive capacity suggests not only a biological response to stimuli, but an intrinsic ingenuity that echoes beyond the bounds of scientific understanding. Each feature of the mind, from the simplest operations to the deepest moments of insight, reveals the signature of something beyond the purely physical. Neuroplasticity, as mentioned earlier, refers to the brain's ability to reorganize its structure, forming new neural connections throughout life. This dynamic not only challenges old notions that the brain is static after childhood, but also opens doors to a deeper understanding of how our experiences and our minds are actively connected. As we learn, experience, and challenge ourselves, neurons respond, forming new circuits and reshaping themselves to reflect the lived experiences. This neuronal metamorphosis is a vivid testimony to the incredible malleability inherent in the organ that makes us human. The brain's ability to renew and adapt, even after challenges and adversities, resonates with the idea of second chances and redemption, concepts intrinsically connected to divine grace. Just as grace offers opportunities for spiritual renewal, neuroplasticity suggests that even in challenging moments, the brain has the capacity to reorganize and recover. So, just as the brain recreates itself to face new challenges, we are also gifted with the ability to seek spiritual renewal and redemption in our life journey. Throughout history and in various religious traditions, the mind has been considered the epicenter of connection with the divine. In Eastern traditions, such as Hinduism, the mind is seen as a fundamental instrument for spiritual seeking, and meditation is a practice aimed at mental pacification and clarity. We also find passages in the Holy Bible that emphasize the renewal of the mind as a path to understanding divine will. The Apostle Paul, in his messages, encourages believers to be transformed by the renewal of their minds, as in the passage from Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. This perspective highlights the importance of the mind not just as an organ of thought, but as a vehicle for a deeper understanding of divine purposes. Paul's encouragement is not just guidance, but a revelation of the importance of renewing the mind in order to discern God's will. In this context, the renewal of the mind becomes a spiritual journey that transcends the simple assimilation of knowledge. Of course, this is my interpretation of this passage, and it's okay if some disagree. In fact, I'd like to know your opinion on this passage and others related to the video's theme. For me, the renewal of the mind can be understood as a profound internal transformation. This implies not just acquiring new knowledge, but developing a perspective that permeates all aspects of life. Because when we renew our minds, we become more receptive to the subtle manifestations of divine guidance on our earthly journey. Absorbing knowledge, such as the teachings of the Holy Bible, for example, can be part of the process, but true renewal occurs when we internalize these principles, shaping attitudes and daily choices. So, whatever spiritual teaching you want to follow, try to internalize each principle. In a spiritual journey, the mind can play a vital connecting role, tuning in to divine frequencies. And the more we seek to renew our minds, the more we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of the divine will in our lives. When we understand this transformation of the mind, we realize that our choices and the environments we choose also shape the fabric of the mind in profound ways. Spiritually, we are advised to seek wisdom, practice patience, and cultivate love, as I always encourage in our videos here on the channel. But know that these choices are not just moral guidelines, but paths to a balanced mind and openness to divine experiences. Neuroscientifically, brain plasticity highlights how our daily choices and the environments in which we find ourselves directly influence brain architecture. Choices that promote positivity and environments that stimulate growth contribute to the health and adaptability of the brain. Choosing patience not only contributes to inner peace, but also positively impacts the nervous system, reducing stress and promoting mental well-being. Love, central to many spiritual teachings, is like a balm for the mind. And neuroscientifically, positive experiences such as love and compassion release beneficial neurotransmitters, strengthening the neural connections associated with happiness and contentment. The mind, being the epicenter of this fusion between spirituality and science, reveals itself as a terrain where both meet, collaborating for a fuller and more meaningful existence. Human emotional experience plays a vital role in the spiritual journey, shaping how we perceive and connect with the divine. The mind, delicately intertwined with emotions, serves as a bridge to divine understanding when we cultivate a conducive emotional state. When we examine how emotions impact our spiritual receptivity, we encounter a complex and, at the same time, fundamental phenomenon. Religious traditions have long emphasized the importance of a peaceful heart for a deeper communion with the divine. It's as if this emotional tranquility opens us to a clearer perception of the divine presence. In various sacred passages, we find guidance on the influence of the emotional state on the relationship with God. As in Psalm 19, 14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. This passage highlights the intimate connection between the words spoken and the feelings of the heart. It reflects the notion that divine acceptance is intrinsically linked to our emotional disposition. I would say that we can interpret this passage as an invitation to emotional authenticity in our spiritual quest. Because when we open our hearts, we allow our emotions to flow in a genuine way, creating an environment conducive to understanding and communion with the divine. To put it simply, we can compare it to tuning a radio station. On a radio, clear reception of the signal requires proper tuning. In the same way, communion with the divine requires emotional attunement, a state of peace that allows us to capture these subtle messages of transcendence. So, if this makes sense to you, I ask you to reflect on it and try to ask yourself, how can I cultivate inner peace? How can I deal with emotions in a healthy way? These are questions that not only make the spiritual quest richer, but also promote a deeper understanding of the self and the divine. After all, it is in this conscious dive that we find the serenity capable of attuning our hearts to the divine messages that permeate existence. Every choice we make goes beyond the limits of everyday life, reverberating in the deeper dimensions of our spiritual existence. The search for wisdom, patience, and love, which we explored earlier, is a series of conscious choices that outline a luminous path on the spiritual journey. The ability to choose, to determine our own course, is a gift granted by the divine, by God. Free will not only gives us autonomy over our decisions, but also places us before a profound spiritual responsibility. Reflecting on free will leads us to understand that, although influenced by various circumstances, we are the creators of our destinies. Each choice shapes not only our present, but also the future horizon of our journey, including our spiritual one. I would say that free will is not just a tool to shape our destiny. Rather, it's an invitation to align our choices with a higher purpose. The law of cause and effect, intrinsically connected to our existence, reveals a fascinating dynamic between our actions and the divine responses that permeate our lives. In this context, adaptation and growth emerge as protagonists in the spiritual journey, while divine guidance unfolds as a subtle response to our steps. Adaptation is linked to the cyclical nature of life. Just as seasons change and nature adjusts to each cycle, we are also called to adapt to changes in our journey. Adaptability is a quality that resonates in various spiritual traditions. The ability to mold oneself in the face of circumstances not only strengthens our resilience, but also reflects synchronicity with divine plans. Every action, no matter how small, is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of existence. And here is where the law of cause and effect comes into play. Our actions, whether guided by noble intentions or rooted in ignorance, resonate in the universe, creating waves that eventually return to us. This universal law is not just a matter of cosmic justice, but also an expression of divine guidance. Growth, in this context, is intrinsically connected to how we cultivate our actions. When we choose positive actions, anchored in high and loving principles, we are planting the seeds of future blessings. Divine guidance reveals itself in the fruits of our growth, in the blessings we receive, and in the opportunities that unfold before us. Walking the path of conscious adaptation and growth aligned with our spiritual values is becoming receptive to divine guidance. We are co-creators of our journey, influenced by the choices we make at every step. Understanding this dynamic is opening space for a more conscious and meaningful experience, where each action aligns with the divine energies that influence our destiny. Tuning the mind and soul to hear the divine, is a journey that transcends the boundaries of our conventional understanding. In this process, introspection, understanding emotions, and clarity in choices play fundamental roles. Understanding how our minds work, recognizing thought patterns, and cultivating mindfulness is like adjusting the tuning of a radio to capture a specific frequency. When we tune our mind to the spiritual frequency, we create a space conducive to divine communication. And understanding emotions, in turn, plays a crucial role in this attunement. Emotions are like the waves that travel across the surface of a lake. They can obscure the clarity of the water or serenely reflect the sky above. When we cultivate a deeper emotional awareness, we learn to discern between turbulent waves and the calm waters of the soul. This emotional clarity puts us in a receptive state, allowing us to hear the divine messages that may arise even in the most challenging moments of life. And the most interesting aspect of all this is that when we tune into mind and soul, we realize that divine messages often manifest in the seemingly ordinary details of life. It could be a subtle intuition, a chance encounter, or even a kind word from a friend. When mind and soul are in harmony, they become receptive channels for these divine signs, revealing a world of deeper meaning in our journey. So, dear friends, I would like you to take a message with you. In life's journey, finding harmony with the divine is a path that unfolds in understanding the mind and the heart. So, may this message inspire you to seek your inner journey, discovering the divine connection that awaits in your own heart. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.